It's finally here, guys. The video that we have all been waiting for months. For those of you who have not been on this very long journey with us, I am Kelsey and that is the Love Hut. Me and my fiance Shane are Love Hut for Life. We have been traveling all over the country for almost 6 years in that little yellow house and occasionally stop to build cool off-grid homes for other people. We've been stopped in Florida for the longest of any of our stops before, and this project is coming to an end. As you can see, there's still a few pieces left to be put in. But this off-grid ambulance tiny home.
Spaceship, Kelsey. It's a spaceship. It's not a tiny home.
This spaceship is done, y'all. It's just about putting it together and cleaning it up so that we can shoot a tour for y'all. Stay tuned. This is going to be a fun week. I promise.
I'll sing the song I continue to sing for y'all almost today. I did finish tying in all of this plumbing in here, so this box is ready to be assembled for the last time and turned into a booth bed. All of this back here is simply just covers so I can access my stuff. I put caps on this side of the bed and I'm leaving the rest of it just slatted. I've painted the slats to match the color patterns of the rig. The reason for the full pieces here is because that's where the cooktop is. And I don't think the bottom side of a mattress directly over a cooktop is necessarily a good idea. That being said, let's come outside and I'll show you what I did out here as well. I finished getting all this plumbing tied together. Oh, I'm gonna have to show y'all tomorrow. It is just too dark. Well, if you can't figure it out, that means I'm going to bed. These doors are also coming along fantastically. Because it is FRP and I'm having to paint those to match what's inside, I'm having to use a different type of paint, and this is an oil-based paint, and it is a bit of a pain in the butt. I'm not gonna lie. But we'll get it there. This thing's gonna look awesome. Y'all, it's sometime in the middle of the day. I don't know what time it is. Doesn't really matter. I am still moving in circles, and honestly, I don't really have time to show you guys all of the intricacies of what I'm doing, such as, you know, tightening that screw, and then that screw. Yada yada. Ooh, look at all those holes. Let's keep going.
Y'all, I have been hanging out in the neighbor's pool all day. But Shane has been hard at work over here, trying real hard to get this done for y'all tonight. But that sun is gone, and I think that it is about time that I come and reclaim my man.
I don't have to work anymore?
You don't, babe. This can get done tomorrow.
It will get done tomorrow. It's done tonight. We gotta roll it out into the sun tomorrow, Kelsey. Look, even the plexiglass is up in the power box up there. I'll show y'all tomorrow. We'll keep waiting.
Oh, that's beautiful. What a yingling.
Thank you.
Hey, one of those was for me, mister.
Well, good morning, y'all. Yesterday was quite chaotic, as are most of my days. But I will say that I managed to bring this thing to a level of what I will call completion. Now, here's the tricky bit. This morning I've gotten out here and I have one more piece of trim left to put on these doors because I've been painting them for several days with this alkyd-based paint so that it is acceptable for them to hang outside. So if wind, rain, anything were to hit them, you don't have latex paint scratching. This stuff's gonna be hard as nails in about a week, but until then you gotta treat it with kid gloves. But this is our end effect. Now that I've gotten those done, we are gonna move this spaceship onto the launch pad. And as you can see, the sun is coming over my head for the day. It basically travels from back there over this way, leaving the Love Hut almost out of the sun path. But we're gonna put it here and start testing the end of the solar. I also have a 30 amp connection over here and a water bib. So I'm gonna be able to test the plumbing. Basically making sure all of these systems that I've spent months meticulously piecing together are all running perfectly so that we can hit the big red button on this spaceship and launch it into the stratosphere. All right, let's get this thing moved.
Y'all, Shane got out early this morning and started working to get all of this done. And I got out early this morning and started working on getting the Love Hut ready to roll as soon as possible after this ambulance is picked up. That means a lot of deep cleaning, a lot of washing and drying every cloth thing in the house, and also getting all 7 of our water tanks cleaned out and filled up, ready to go so that we don't have to stop for a while, y'all. I hear an engine running, which I'm pretty excited about.
We're letting it warm up, Kelsey. One mustn't rush a diesel anytime.
Oh, good, y'all. It's always a little bit of a fear that they're not going to move at the end of these big projects. That sounds just fine, though. Oh, that makes me happy. Yo, that hose right there means water is going into the tank to fill it currently. And all of those tests are going wonderfully. Our tanks are filled too, just waiting to be put back into the Love Hut. And I'm making some serious progress back here cleaning this up. We're getting closer, y'all.
Hello, Kelsey.
Hey, babe. What you doing?
Fighting off the mosquitoes, trying to get this backup camera installed. You have to run a really long video cable from the back unless you do a wireless type of setup. And those can be quite spendy. So I'm putting the same one in this one that we have in the Love Hut. But that's still mosquitoes. These mosquito cheaters are eating me up.
Your sunlight is about gone.
Yeah, I think the test of solar is over for the day. Is the test of Shane over for today too?
Yeah, I think it's time to clean up, babe. Almost. He's off the clock, y'all, but the work never stops. This place is looking mighty, mighty clean, though. We're almost there.
Well, good morning, y'all. I'm living the high life today. I have this thing parked out in the middle of the yard. I have full operational water. I have air conditioning. I have lights. I have a bed over my head. And I'm air frying invisible chicken nuggets. I'm not gonna put any food in this. All while being unplugged. Spaceship vibes, no doubt. you know, it's real hot. I'm doing my best to not just sit back there in that refrigerator, because that's what I have created, is a refrigerator on wheels. This thing is awesome. One of my little tasks today is getting this backup camera installed, and thanks to the construction of this E450, it is incredibly simple, at least this portion. Running it underneath, not so much, but you know, that's the case with all of them. All right, let's get this thing wired up too. Well, my very diligent effort to make sure I get everything taken care of in here before I say goodbye to it. Today I was doing touch-up paint, getting our refrigerator in and wired up. Oh yeah, it's chilling back there. I had a goal of getting this thing out of here and going to get the propane tank filled so I can test the line from the propane tank to the regulator, because my little port here is only on the low side of the regulator, which means it only allows me to run gas everywhere after the regulator for a special tank. That's the last thing that needs to be tested. Everything else runs, which means my focus now is to get that thing ready to roll, because I'm sure many of you are aware, we have been here for about 7 months now, and there's a lot of things we got to do for the Love Hut so that it's ready to support us on the road again, like filling up our water tanks and getting everything clean. The roof has been parked under that tree for so long that there's mildew growing on it, so I got to go wipe all that down. But mostly, I got to get all my tools back in there too. Seeing I missed my window of opportunity for propane, that means it's time to get all this stuff packed up tonight. Let's keep going, y'all.
And then little buddy's got his dog bowls.
Oh, that is cute.
Okay. And now we got all this. So there's check out this dude. Oh wow, he looks just like a leaf. I'll let him chill. As you can see, my tools are almost all packed up. And we had our first round of family visitors coming to see how I've spent the past 7 months putting this rig together. To say everyone's impressed is an understatement, and I can certainly appreciate that. Today we got a little more to do, and we're going to be driving this thing down the road to actually go fill up the propane tanks, because I'm using our auxiliary input over here to test the propane system, but I can't fill the tank here. So we'll get this thing on the road soon. Morning, y'all. As promised, we got this spaceship ready, and we're headed to fill the final tank on it, which is going to be our propane tank. You would never assume there's a spaceship inside of this thing. All right, let's go drive this sucker. I started this morning on cloud 9. The property's almost cleaned up. All the tools are almost packed up. We left this morning to go fill up the propane tanks. And that went well. The propane filled nicely. We came back and I started conducting my last test. And those last tests were testing everything from the regulator this side, because we had used our port to test the entire system outside of this. And one of the things you test in doing that is the valve. Now this valve has a manual option, which is this brass knob on the bottom. And it also features a solenoid. The solenoid is a remote solenoid, so it uses a positive and a negative wire that run up inside, and you run them through a switch. And what happens is when there's current flowing, this valve is open. When you turn the switch off, the valve closes. And through extensive testing and multiple dead ends, I have come to the decision that this solenoid came to us faulty. When you do an ohm test against a solenoid, there's two little prongs inside where the wires connect, and you have fluctuating ohms resistance for this basically copper coil inside. That means, there's poor connectivity, so potentially that could cause a fire. So we went ahead and just disconnected that feature, and we're not going to be using the remote solenoid on this tank. The only option is really to replace the tank, because this is a one-off unit and I can't really purchase this solenoid anywhere. That was the first crappy thing that happened today. It gets worse. Now, I've had this thing parked out in the middle of the yard for days, running the lights, running the AC, running the air fryer, stressing this thing out, using the vacuum cleaner off of the solar system. Today we were generating hot water off of our tank that we're holding. We were living on cloud 9. And one of the last things I was doing was testing the shore power connection that goes to the inverter. And immediately upon testing, when I plugged this unit in and I shot 30 amps of power into the unit, something happened inside, and it was explosive to say the least. It didn't go boom. Before I could get in here, I could already smell burning tires, which is not a clear sign, but it's a strong indication that there's a fire inside of this thing. So I killed all the power to the unit, and through inspection, all my wires are correct. Unfortunately, something happened inside, which means this unit is toast. I hate that. I really hate that. Boy, yesterday ended. I was quite exhausted in that little clip. This morning, on the other hand, I am well rested, and I do want to talk about what happened. And I'm really happy that all of those happened. So let's put it in summation to what eventually transpired. Our situation with this propane valve down there, if I would have left that on there, because I did manage to get it to work a couple of times, if I would have been a not so diligent installer, then I would have just left it and said goodbye to it. And if the owner would have kept pushing that button, trying to make it go on and off, eventually that solenoid could have short out. And I don't know if you know about electrical shorts and propane, but they create a real good time together. Now, this situation in here is just flat out dangerous. So from what I've learned digitally last night, this whole unit has been discontinued. They don't make this anymore. I've installed several of them over the years. They work fantastically. They're very basic in comparison to some of the competitors, which makes things a lot more convoluted. There's a lot more computerization to the whole system. These are kind of basic. Unfortunately, this thing shorted out somewhere internally. It's rather basic. Once again, how you connect the shore power to it. So I had 30 amps of 120 volts coming in, and as soon as that power hit, there was some sort of short in the converter side of this box. So this is two things. It's an inverter and a converter. Now, due to my diligence with wiring and breakers, nothing was damaged. All the smoke and smell is all inside this box. So we have a couple solutions we got to work on, but I'm very grateful that happened with me, because if that thing would have been left to just plug in and it would have gotten plugged in while no one was paying attention to it, or they were outside playing with the terminal at the campground, it could have went up in smoke. And fortunately it didn't. So replacing it is just replacing a part, which means I still got to keep cleaning up this whole mess around here today. We still do have to get out of here. We got to find the parts to deal with that and how we're going to deal with that. But Shane's workshop is almost done. To the dump I go. Uh-oh. Bronco, we should have salt shelter. It's coming. You better run, buddy.
I think we're stuck, little dude.
Maybe not. It comes in waves. Florida man.
Guys, this week did not end how we thought it was going to.
I would not have guessed the outcome.
But just like our kitchen door says, nothing happens to us, only for us, and everything happens at exactly the right time and exactly the right place. It's a whole lot easier if you just choose to like it. Something like that.
That was close enough to a quote. I can guarantee one thing, that I can't tell you what's going to happen next week. I could tell you what I think's going to happen, but that's pointless. Why don't you just come back and find out? Because I'm going to have to wait and find out myself. We'll see y'all next week.
Peace out, guys. Have a good one.
Bye, y'all.